Welcome, you filthy animals, to Blockbuster Mentality, the show where we dive deep into the world of cinema. I'm your host, Ben Secord.
And I'm Davo.
Today we are diving into Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove from 1964. I'm excited for this one. Got some stuff to say about it, so come along and join us on this cinematic journey. Before we get into this movie, Dave.
Yes.
I do have a confession to make.
Okay. It's okay. This is a open forum. You're free to say whatever you want.
I appreciate you making me feel comfortable about this. I always rewatch a movie before we do the show to prepare for it, take some notes, and have some talking points for the show.
Right.
And it's nice to revisit these films. This is the first time I have visited Dr. Strangelove. This is my first viewing of Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, that's great. The great thing is that you saw this classic movie.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. And there's a lot on my list, number of movies that I haven't seen that I maybe will not admit to.
Well, yes, so. it is tough to admit sometimes because, this is a movie that's always been on my list to watch and it's just never got around to it.
It's Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
It's, but it is old, and this is an easy one to miss. And, I don't know. I'm just glad we did this movie.
Yeah.
The great thing about this movie is that it's now oddly relevant.
Right.
1964 in black and white. Just a really strange movie, which we'll talk more about. But now all of a sudden the nuclear fears are back. So what better way to put the audience at ease to make them scared again here?
Yes, that's what we're here for, to make you folks scared. 54 years later, and we're still
here. We are
dealing with this.
Yeah, we're still talking about the Russians, and we got the North Korea.
Yeah, the whole North Korea. We're not trying to get political on the show.
No, not at all.
It's just strictly a movie show.
But it is reality.
It's reality, and we're trying to stay relevant for you folks. And speaking of which, check us out on our audio version on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform, and also on YouTube. We are on YouTube. We do have a video version. And hello, YouTube folks.
Ben says that there has been a great, groundswell of requests to see us on video. So
yes,
here we are.
So here you are for you video folks.
Happy to do it.
So for a person who has seen many of the classic Stanley Kubrick films, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, things like that, this did not feel like a Stanley Kubrick film for me. This was definitely a unique film for him.
Well, I've seen this one maybe 5 times, I'd say at least. But yeah, it doesn't feel like a Kubrick film. It doesn't even feel like any particular film.
Right.
This movie is a movie in all of its own.
Right.
I don't even know. It's I guess you call it a dark comedy. It's very surreal. Yeah. It's almost like a nightmare in a way. It's very strange, and I can kind of see why, even though it has the critical appeal or whatever that it deserves, I can see why people would shy away from it, not be terribly interested in it, and why it's just sort of like, that was that good one that he made so long ago, and I didn't see it.
No, it holds up today because I was cracking up. I was thinking about what's going on today and just how it relates to that. So it's
that's
crazy.
The mark of a great movie. That long ago still has relevance.
It's timeless, and even the comedy, it's not just silly, British comedy. Obviously, it stars Peter Sellers, famous British comedic actor who died way too young. I think he could have done a lot more.
Mid-50s, right?
Mid-50s. I think 54. 55.
Unreal.
Because I've obviously seen the Pink Panthers, things like that. But this is the first time I've seen him in this. And he plays 3 parts.
Yeah. Unforgettably.
Unforgettably. He plays the Englishman, Lionel Mandrake. He plays President of America, Merkin Muffley, and also the title character, Dr. Strangelove, who I believe is a German.
Yes.
Okay.
A German defector who can't seem to shake that part of him. Literally. So then let's just jump right in with our cast and crew and direction.
Right.
So let's just start with Peter Sellers, since you brought him. his performance.
Yes.
I mean, can you say enough about how great he was in this movie?
Right.
He was absolutely brilliant. He's hilarious. He plays a straight guy, two sort of straight guys in a way.
Right.
And then the most over-the-top character you can imagine in Doctor Strangelove. He's confined to a wheelchair. He is hilarious, and honestly, he carries this movie.
Right.
Almost every scene, if he's not in the scene, it's not that interesting.
Right. And most of that, I know we were talking before the show, is the airplane scenes. The airplane scenes can drag a little. But yeah, Peter Sellers.
Brilliant.
It just goes, like I said, I've seen the Pink Panthers, but I've never seen this. Then seems like this is just the epitome of who he is as an actor, and yeah, he played 3 different characters. The first time someone was nominated for an Oscar to play multiple characters. It's just
well deserved.
Amazing.
It really should have won it, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah, I don't know who won that year, but yeah, Peter Sellers.
Just great.
And like you said, 3 totally different characters. Peter's like you said, 2 straight guys, and then the Doctor Strangelove who just comes out of nowhere. Which I was expecting more Doctor Strangelove in this movie, but yeah, I mean the amount of time he was in it, I think it would have been fine. 'Cause I think it would have been a little more. It would have been too overpowering, too much if he was in it anymore.
Yeah,
I think he was in it a perfect.
It basically has 2 scenes, right? As Strangelove.
Yeah. When they introduce him, and then at the end.
So the movie's obviously titled after him, but yeah. So I guess you'd expect to see more, but they drew it out to his intro, which was hilarious, and then the end is just insanity. So it was enough. And this movie also doesn't, although some parts do drag, which we'll talk about.
Right.
This movie's about an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So thank you. I know the more I go along and the more I really look at these movies, keeping them short. Thank you.
Absolutely. An hour and a half is first of all, it's perfect length for a movie, especially a comedy.
Oh yeah.
Which again, it's a dark comedy, but it does have some serious elements to it when you really dig deep into it, which is obviously what we're gonna talk about and dig deep into. But yeah, Peter Sellers. Without him, this is not a movie. But at the same time, the next actor, George C. Scott, General Buck Turgidson? Turgidson.
General Turgidson.
General Turgidson. George C. Scott, obviously we know him from, best known from Patton.
Right.
Bunch of stuff. He's to me, he stole the show just as much as Peter Sellers did. I think he was what he was able to do in basically a comedic performance.
He's hilarious.
Was just outstanding. I think this is again another reason why I can't believe I didn't watch this sooner.
Yeah, just to see George C. Scott just kind of go nuts, and he's sort of like a larger than life figure. Just his presence and like who he is physically,
right?
And like his facial expressions throughout the movie, he's hilarious. And as we were talking before for prep, if anybody doesn't know, Stanley Kubrick kind of messed with George C. Scott when he encouraged him to overact and telling him, "Oh no, we're just trying this out. Here, go over the top. This won't make it into the final cut." Turns out those things actually did make it into the final cut.
Yeah.
And George C. Scott was pretty pissed off and said he'd never work with Kubrick again. But then I guess later, learned to like it and what he did, but he was great. So Kubrick actually did a better thing by getting that performance out of Scott, because you can imagine, I played Patton, I'm a general, I need to be stiff. So here's Kubrick like goading him, like be crazy, be just be over the top, because that's actually what is called for in this movie, because the movie is totally over the top.
Yeah,
and so he got that performance out of him.
And what I like about it is he's a lot of, even though he's super crazy, in the way he's conveying what he's saying, a lot of what he's saying makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's logical from a army standpoint, a strategic standpoint. It makes sense. It's just the way he delivers it, and the, like you said, facial expression is just brilliant. I think George C. Scott is a genius in this movie.
Well, that's sort of like you say, the logic. That's one of the big things about this movie. There's an insane logic to all of this stuff.
Right.
Which once you start going down this road, it does make sense, even though it's horrific, because this is the stuff that the kind of logic that our government and other governments have been, Russia then, we've been using for all these years, and acceptable casualties, this sort of thing.
Yep.
So when you're actually in that position to decide, then you have to be like, well, here are my choices.
Right.
And they're really horrible. And this movie just skewers that. Be like, you guys are all nuts. And so he represents that guy.
Right.
It is logical, actually. It is sort of logically sound, except that it's insane.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Peter Sellers, George C. Scott, total geniuses in this movie. One other person who plays Jack Ripper. What's that actor's name?
Sterling Hayden.
Sterling Hayden. I know him from The Godfather as the police officer from that, where he gets shot in the throat. Yeah. That's the best way I can describe him. Yeah. What do you think of him?
He did a good job. He's just great at deadpan delivery.
Yes,
his
absolutely.
lines were laugh out loud funny, and he delivers them with all earnesty and seriousness.
Yeah, because he's so serious. It's like, again, that's what I like about this movie is, he's like, wait, that. Like, especially on a second watch, like, because I kind of watched clips after I watched it just to, prepare more for the show, because, again, it was a movie I haven't seen, and the more I watched it, I was like, okay, that was funny. Like, that was supposed to be funny there, and I don't think I laughed the first time, but now I'm, like, realizing, wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then that's, I think that speaks to his delivery and his performance. So, yeah, I mean.
The only other two, I think, worth noting are... Slim Pickens, who played Major Kong.
Slim Pickens, yep.
Who
pilot.
Another Kubrick trick. The guy did not know he was in a comedy movie.
Oh.
So Kubrick is like a troll, you know? He's like messing with everybody, messing with his actors.
But I mean, you got to hand it to him.
You got what he needed.
Yeah, it's genius. I mean, you want this performance out of him, and he got it.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, James Earl Jones.
He's in it. I don't know what you think. It's just nothing more than just a very supporting.
The only reason it's worth noting is because it's James Earl Jones in an early role. It's like, oh, that's cool. Especially when he was talking into the whatever those are that the Air Force people wear, the masks or whatever. He's talking into that. It's like, yeah, totally sounds like Darth Vader.
The Tom Hardy mask.
Yeah, Tom Hardy mask.
That's just what we'll call him from now on.
Yeah, but yeah, the first time you see him, he's talking to that mask. I'm like, yep, Darth Vader.
That's
there
him.
We go.
One last, who I did not know, Peter Bull, who played the Russian ambassador. It's worth mentioning that there was actually a nice little performance there.
Yeah.
And he was a bit menacing at times. And the guy was humorous. It was well done. So I'm not familiar with the actor at all.
Yeah.
I don't know him from anything. But another good little supporting.
Yeah. I mean, basically, the people we mentioned are the movie.
I
mean, there's a couple other characters that just have a couple lines. But again, Peter Sellers plays three characters.
Right.
So
that's very obvious.
That's the bulk of the film there.
I think I looked on IMDb, and if I'm not mistaken, there was only like 23 credits for actors, which is nothing.
And one woman. one.
Yep,
one woman. I mean, this is 1964.
Was not even in it all that.
Yeah, and half naked.
Right.
So I mean, this kind of shows 1964 era. It's like, okay, yep, this was definitely made in that era.
That's what was going on then.
Exactly. Which in the times we're living, I feel like I need to mention who that actress was. It was Tracy something.
Right. That's really important that we just did that.
Well, I know. I gotta mention it now. I gotta mention it. But yeah.
Well, as you're looking for that, we should probably mention, because we want to talk about the director.
Yeah.
So Kubrick, I mean, great job here.
Yeah.
He pulled off, and it's hard to think now, or then, in 1964, how people could have possibly received this movie.
Right.
This dark comedy. Everyone is sort of afraid.
Right.
This thing, I think when our parents were growing up, they're like, doing drills under their desks.
Right.
We just had the Cuban Missile Crisis was like, I think in 1960, so this isn't far away. This was like a real thing for them. And then this guy makes this movie, and he's just making fun of everyone and skewering them and showing how insane we've all kind of gone on this thing.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it's a bit subversive to watch it now. I mean, then I don't even know. Was it people like, don't watch that? Or I don't know.
It's interesting.
It's a very I feel like it might have almost been taboo.
Yeah,
in a way.
I mean, yeah, obviously if it came out today, no big deal.
No big
but
deal,
yeah,
yeah.
for it to come out then, but yeah, because I mean the only drills I did at school were tornado drills and fire drills. I mean that was about it.
Yeah. I mean,
we weren't
not worried about
any missiles or
nukes.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah, no way.
yeah.
So I mean, all I have to say is just he got a lot out of his actors.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think the movie parts, at least the parts that we like, or the parts that I like,
I mean,
are shot very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, let's jump into it. I mean, that's the segment that we talk about the directing and the acting and the performances. But now let's get into our favorite segment,
Take Six,
where we give our 6 key moments, favorite moments of the film, and dissect them, talk about them, and just say what we enjoyed about the film, but in 6 moments.
These are our favorite.
Yep.
Our favorite 6. We each pick 3.
Yep.
And then we share them.
That's how we came up with 6.
That's how we do it. It's really a brilliant idea.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so I guess I'll go first. So the number 1 is the war room scene.
Yeah.
The first war room scene with General I'm going to
Turgison.
Thank you.
We should also mention that it's very clear that there should be no fighting in the war room. That is unacceptable.
Oh yes. There's no fighting in the war room. Brilliant line.
This movie is full of these little contradictions.
Yeah, there's a lot of those lines that I heard in the movie that I'm like, I've heard that before, and it's like, okay, that was from this movie. So
yeah,
it's like,
I think even
it's pop culture has definitely been has taken things from this movie.
They've been it was almost like it's almost like a lampoon movie.
Right, yeah.
But it's not over the top in
right.
the way you would expect movies now.
True.
It's a satire that really walks that line between being ridiculous, because it is kind of ridiculous, but it's also serious. And I think that's just a credit to Kubrick, because he actually pulls that off.
Yeah.
It's not just an absurd movie where like, oh, this is ridiculous.
Right. So yeah, no. Stuff your sorries in a sack. Stuff your sorries in a sack. So take 6. All right. So the number 1 key moment in the film was the war room scene with General Turgison. Did I say it right?
No, I wasn't laughing at that. I was just laughing at
okay.
I know where you're going. Turgison. But
I keep saying
just say George
C. Scott. There we go. George C. Scott. Basically, he's given the pros about just going through with this code red. So basically, there's this general who just takes it upon himself to initiate this code red, which basically will have all the Air Force, the airplanes that are around Russia. I think they're all 2 hours away from Russia, their targets.
Right.
If they get this code red, that means that they're gonna have to go in and
they start their bombing run and
start their bombing run. And this general went ahead and Jack Ripper sent
Jack D. Ripper.
Yeah, Jack D. Ripper. I like that little subtleness of the name, Jack the Ripper. So yeah, he sends these airplanes to basically bomb Russia. He's gonna start a nuclear war with them. We're at the beginning we're unclear as to why that is.
The president's asking Turgison, who I presume is, I guess, the head of the Air Force, possibly.
Right.
I think that's who he is. The chief of staff, head of the Air Force. Yeah. Wow. I thought I only had the authority to.
Right.
And then, well, if you recall, sir, this is about what Plan R.
Yeah.
Like, in that voice, that great gravelly, like smoker's voice that he has, and he tells him there's a contingency where if we happen to get bombed, that some other general, outside the chain of command can initiate a strike so that, all isn't lost.
Right.
So much for that.
Yeah, so much for that indeed, because this is basically the start of the movie is when all hell breaks loose. Yeah, it's like you said, the president's in the room with General George C. Scott.
Right. General Patton.
Yeah, so he's basically saying, how could this happen? And then General George C. Scott is basically saying, we can't stop it now because General Ripper's the only one who has these codes.
Right.
He's the only one who has these codes.
He's out of touch. He's out of communication. He's sealed off the base. This is actual procedure if this were a real thing. So we can't reach him. He's cut off comms. So now we need to just move on to we're just bombing the Ruskies. So here's what it's going to be, and let's just move forward with destroying them. It's basically where he goes.
Yep. And he just goes on to say, I love that he breaks it into points. He's like, can I bring up 1 and 2 points? All right, so 1, something. He's bringing up all these points basically to, I don't know, I guess bomb, why they should just go through with it. Because at this point, if they, try to stop it and they still bomb them, then Russia's going to continue. They're going to attack us, and we're going to lose even more people.
Here's your logic, right?
Yeah, here's your logic. Here's your strategy.
If you're going to attack them, they're going to retaliate back. So, and if they do that, that means we're going to lose, the world, the country, whatever.
Right.
So better, rather than having a small attack, let's just kill them all.
Right, because he's saying, we can't stop it at this point. Where the time for us to stop it is decreasing as we speak. Right. So we can't stop it at this point. So what if we just do an all-out attack? And I think the casualty, that's when he brings up the acceptable amount of casualties. It's an acceptable amount of casualties will be lose 10, 20 million tops.
This is like pocket change.
Yeah, pocket change.
It's no big deal. Yeah, look, this is the situation we're in. We're going to lose, 10, 20 million.
10, 20 million. And
we'll be vaporized.
Because he's comparing that to, instead of 150 million, if we don't just do a full...
Or we all die.
But yeah, this scene, I think, is, the best George C. Scott scene. I mean, it's just his delivery of it. Yeah. And just, I love how he's naming... I like when he says, he's listing points. He does 1 something, 2 something, 3 something, and he's 4 something. And then he goes... 5.
Yeah, he's good.
And he makes this awesome facial expression, like this. Oh, listen to this now.
He rattles off all these. Then by the time he says 5, you've already forgotten that he's done 1 through 4.
Right. Yeah.
And he's still got the numbered list in his mind.
Right. 5. But yeah, it's great because. Where was I going here? But yeah, 10, 20 million times. But it has a great line because, the president's like, no, we can't do this. We don't strike first. It's our country policy to not strike with nuclear missiles first.
All the time.
Don't advise. And then George C. Scott's like, you're more I think you should be more concerned with the American people than your place in the history books, which is a great line. Yeah, this is a comedy movie, but I mean that's quite the powerful line.
He's a powerful figure.
Yeah,
he's a strong actor. He has a presence.
Right. Yeah. He's
like what you would think of that guy to be.
Yeah.
In real life.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean that whole scene, I mean that obviously sticks out to me, and that totally makes the take six for me. Take six for me, and I like the way Stanley Kubrick shot it, and a lot of this movie is all like just long takes, which I like too. It's just long monologues, long takes. You got the back and forth with George C. Scott, and then you do the far shot of the whole war room, and you get this echoing voice.
It's this monstrous cavernous room. All of the shots in the war room are great. Yeah, and they still look great in black and white.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And then you got the president saying how he's got the Russian ambassador coming, and this kind of is included in this scene I'm talking about. And George C. Scott, well, he's gonna see the big board. I love that.
Yeah, all his expressions and his body movements, they're so just he's doing so much.
Yeah, there's just something about him there.
It's great in this movie.
And I like how he gets the phone call from his girl during all of this, and he's just like, I got things to do.
Can't call me in the war room.
Can't call me in the war room.
I'm going to make you Mrs. Buck Turkington.
Then he's about to hang up. Make sure you say prayers.
Yeah. That actually... Yeah, I have. As we get farther on, I do have. That's actually one of the questions I have.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely get to that.
All right, so now we want to take the time and invite back, by popular demand, by his own demand actually, we are inviting back from U.S. Film Magazine, Michael Brennan. How's it going, Michael?
Hey there, Ben. Great to be back again. And I am on location this week at Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico for this very special Dr. Strangelove episode.
Yes, we are excited to talk to you about it. So you flew all the way out there just for this episode?
Well, sort of. If you want to say that to make your audience feel better that you're somebody that's important. I just happen to have some friends and a couple of military men that were very kind enough to show me around this very secret place. This is where we do the top secret stuff in the United States. We've got a lot of nuclear technology. We do a whole bunch of stuff here that I don't even want to mention it. This guy's looking at me cross over here. Okay, I'm just on the phone here. So yeah, I'm here, Ben. Happy to talk to you. Glad to be here on location once again at Los Alamos National Laboratory.
Yeah, well, that's great. All right, so I guess we'll just talk about the movie then. So yeah, Dr. Strangelove by Stanley Kubrick. Are you a Kubrick guy?
Kubrick guy. Stanley Kubrick has been recognized as one of the great directors of all time, but I'm not a fan. I think this movie's overrated. This is called a dark comedy. Comedy, I don't get it. What do you think, Ben? Did you guys like it?
Yeah, speaking for Dave too, I think. I mean, we really enjoyed this film. I think it's a classic. I think the comedy hit where it needed to, and it hits on deeper subjects as well. Having people being charged of these weapons of mass destruction, and we're just people, and it's great. It's a great study on that thing, and yeah, Peter Sellers is just a genius in this movie.
I didn't hear any of that. So anyway, what I will say about this movie is that this is the kind of movie that people say that they like that they really don't like. Okay, since you don't have many listeners, I'm happy to say this and not worry about reprisal. This is the one that all critics say, oh, I love the Stanley Kubrick. We don't like this movie. We don't like black and white anymore. We've moved on. This is not funny. And the Peter Sellers performance, I didn't buy 1 second of it.
Wow. So you're speaking for all critics now?
Well, a lot of critics like to since I know the only people on this that are going to listen are you and me and maybe Davo if he even downloads the episode. But yeah, critics say they love all kinds of films that they really don't. And this is that kind of movie. Peter Sellers was not believable. He's not funny. He's rolling around in the wheelchair. That's not funny. If we want to talk about actors that do a great job playing multiple characters, look no further than Eddie Murphy as a nutty professor.
All right, so you said a lot there. So first of all, I think Dave is a major supporter of the show. I'm sure he's downloading stuff, and isn't that right?
I hope so.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's shaking his head right now. He just said he is. He doesn't even have the time for you right now. But anyways, but Peter Sellers, you would pick Eddie Murphy in Nutty Professor over Peter Sellers in Dr. Strangelove. That's as a movie critic, as a film fan myself, I go ahead.
No, I just remind everyone again that I am a professional. So, whatever you bring to the table is not going to compare to my opinion.
Okay. No. All right, Michael. But I totally disagree with you here. I like reading your articles and everything, but it seems like when you're on the phone, I disagree with you a lot. But
hang on a second here.
I still respect you. Go ahead.
Hold on there, Ben. They're touring me on. This is actually very important to the movie. They're going to put me on this device here. They're calling it a manned nuke. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
I wouldn't go near that, Brennan. You have no idea what you're dealing with there.
Well, I'm going to sit on this thing. They tell me it was actually inspired by the Dr. Strangelove movie. This is a decommissioned nuclear bomb, I guess, from the era, and they got the idea from the movie. So this thing is, if all else fails, a man will pilot himself to the target. Of course, this is long before the days of laser-guided precision, global positioning system, nuclear bombs. So I'm going to sit in. Just strap yourself in. Okay, I'm strapping myself in now, Ben. Now this is thrilling. I'm on a tube here. I'm sitting. I'm on a rodeo.
Oh
I'm gonna sit on this thing. Okay. They told me, look, It's perfectly safe. They
Be
told
careful.
me it's been decommissioned. I'm just gonna. Okay, let's.
You're a
draw.
movie
Yeah,
critic. You're a movie critic. Careful. You're
More
not.
than anything, I'm a professional, Ben.
Yeah,
So
but
I'm gonna sit right on this puppy. This feels.
Are you
feels
sure?
Great.
Are you sure? Be
Yeah,
careful.
this feels great.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm gonna. This is good. So what were you saying there, Ben?
I just want you to be careful, Mr. Brennan. I mean, you're a movie critic. You shouldn't be touching military things. I would be very careful. But anyways, we're talking about a movie. I think you know what you're doing there. So yeah, I think you'll be able to finish the call, hopefully. But yeah, Dr. Strangelove, I think you're completely wrong when it comes to this film. I think this is a classic. I don't think it's just something people say they like. I think this is actually a wonderful film, and I think you might, do yourself a favor by revisiting it.
Well, I don't think I need to revisit it, but hang on. What is that? What is that? Is that a countdown? Hey!
What's going on?
That's not for me. That can't be for me. Guys.
That sounds like a countdown.
Hey! I'm on the shit!
I have no idea what just happened there. I hope he's okay. I don't know if he just got shot off in a bomb or something. But anyways, that was Michael Brennan. Hopefully he's okay, and hopefully he'll be on our next show. Let's get back to the episode.
All right, so number 2 is then, so the president's trying to basically call back these planes. He's trying to find a way to call back these planes, but we cannot call them until we, get this 3-letter code that has to, preface the call we're making. And so he makes a call to the president once the Russian ambassador arrives. The Russian ambassador calls
we need
the
to warn
president.
them.
Yeah, we got to warn them.
What's going on?
Hey, we didn't do this. This is not what we're trying to do.
This is possibly the most awkward phone call in the history of cinema.
Oh my goodness! But the way Peter Sellers delivers this is just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. He's just talking to himself.
Yeah,
obviously.
talking to himself. But yeah, he's just calling the president. Just trying to. They're at the brink of nuclear war right here, and he's worried about the way he's talking to him, and hello, Demetrio, can you turn the music down a little?
Right.
Oh, there we go, much better. I can hear you now. It is just like it's almost like he's talking to his grandpa or his
how you doing? You're fine? Well, I'm fine. Well, it's as they say, it's good. We're fine, Dimitri. And it's like, okay. It's this nervous banter at the beginning.
Yeah, 2 presidents of huge countries talking, and just, well, I'm glad to hear we're doing fine. Ha 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 ha. He even has a little chuckle there.
Peter Sellers is amazing.
Yeah.
Man.
Absolutely. So he tries to explain the situation. He says, "Well, this guy went a little funny. Let's just say he went a little funny in the head. He did a silly thing. It's just the way. Again, this is just absolute brilliant delivery.
It's drawn out.
Yeah, drawn out.
But you're sucked in 100%. It's really just nonsense talk.
And I like how the United States is bombing, or potentially going to bomb Russia, and he's like, "Well, can you imagine how I feel about it, Dimitri?" It's just, I just love it. He's like, "Well, I'm just as upset as you are. No, I'm upset too. Just I can't even do it justice. Me trying to imitate it, but
and the whole thing about what you call why am I calling? And I guess the Russian premier was maybe offended that he only calls when there's an emergency. He's like, no, I'd like to call just to say hello. Of course, I'd like to call just to say hello. Although there is a very pressing matter, just to reassure the Russian premier that it's okay. I actually do like you. You're my buddy.
But I do have to tell you about a terrible thing.
And then there's the whole thing is this a friendly phone call? He's like, of course it's friendly. He's like, well, if it wasn't friendly, he's like, and he pauses. He's like, you probably wouldn't have got it. Which is so true.
Yeah. But
I wouldn't have called, right, if I was mad at you.
Yeah, that scene right there, I think, is what sold me on it. This movie as a comedy, as a great comedy. Because the other scenes were great with George C. Scott, but yeah, then the scene comes, and I'm just like, wow, this is just
brilliant.
this is just absolutely amazing.
But yeah, that was number two.
Number two.
What do we have for number three?
Number three, I have when Captain Mandrake, also played by Peter Sellers,
Yep.
who is in the Air Force base where rogue Colonel Ripper is. He confronts him because they're on this sort of lockdown thing and they're doing these codes. And then he has like a sort of a handheld radio.
Right.
And he just notices it playing just whatever the station was. So he goes in and he's like, hey, this doesn't sound right. We're in this sort of thing where we're going to be bombing them, but I don't know that this station would be playing like generic music right now. And then it turns into a whole thing. Colonel Ripper locks him in the room and says there's no going back. And Captain Mandrake is like, oh, sir, I'm in, the Queen's, Royal Air Force, blah, blah, blah. And then Ripper explains to Mandrake what is going on. He has initiated this for very important reasons.
Yes.
which we will
play right now.
I can no longer sit back and allow communist infiltration, communist indoctrination, communist subversion, and the international communist conspiracy to sap and impurify all of our precious bodily fluids.
What? Just out of nowhere.
And again, when I saw this, I just burst out laughing because it is so ridiculous.
All of our bodily fluids.
Because everything else sort of sounds okay.
Like,
and this is
okay.
actually what we are fighting. And, to some degree still fighting.
Yeah.
And then what are you talking about with the bodily? What do you...
Bodily fluids? Really?
This man has waged nuclear war on his own for this reason.
Right.
Well, most importantly, bodily fluids.
Bodily fluids.
So this cements it even further as just a ridiculous, dark comedy.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
the language is absurd, but the stakes could not be higher.
It's just funny because, the stakes are so high. It's about you're going to nuke these guys, and you're talking about bodily fluids. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Just like we talked about earlier, is just deadpan delivery, and you're so
It's
calm
perfect.
about it.
It's this thing. So we're led to believe that we have these fail safes in place, and that unless there's actually a war going on or we're in legitimate threat of annihilation, that mistakes like this would never happen.
Right.
And this movie's like, no, we're all just stupid people. And when you give anyone this kind of ability, we all go nuts once in a while.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Colonel Ripper, he went a little nuts. He went a little funny in the head, as
just
president said.
He did. I mean, for humans in general to have this kind of power,
Right.
I mean, just any human can just go nuts at any time.
It's
I mean, especially
bound to go wrong.
Exactly. I mean, it's human error. Human error can cause nuclear holocaust.
Yeah, because it sounds reasonable when Turgeson's explaining it
Right.
in the scene before, like we're saying. Yeah, okay, so I could see if, say, Washington is annihilated, that a commander in Texas can then order a strike.
Right.
That makes sense. But if he does it on his own and he cuts everybody off,
Right.
there goes your failsafe.
Right.
And
Yeah, it's
that's it.
yeah. This is where you start to see just the flaws in the whole system.
Right.
I mean,
It doesn't work. It's
Yeah.
not possible.
Yeah.
Thank God we're lucky enough to survive this long.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just doesn't seem humans. I don't think are supposed to have this much power.
No.
I mean, just
No, it's like giving it to a child in
Yeah.
a way, something that they can't possibly understand.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean that the whole bodily fluids thing is
It's just
just
it's hilarious.
it's hilarious,
And
but
it's deadly serious.
absolutely.
That was my one of my favorite.
Right.
One of my three.
No, I love that too. All right, so number 4, I have we're kind of just basically jumping down the movie here. So yeah, I mean it's basically the number 4 when Ripper shoots himself. I mean we have him coming to a realization that he's failed. You have
Yeah, they order the military to try to take over the
yeah
base, because the way it works is Ripper has this 3-letter code that's the only code that the planes will respond to, and only he knows it.
And he shut off his whole base, like he's protecting
Sealed
his whole
it.
base, sealed it. So I mean, now you got Americans versus Americans here, trying to shoot at each other, trying to just infiltrate and get these codes.
Trying to find out, yeah.
So we don't have to go through this nuclear war just because one guy screwed this all up. But yeah, I mean, just kind of more of a powerful scene. I mean, yeah, it's got comedy in it as well. But I mean, you got Ripper.
It gets eerie here.
Yeah, a little eerie because I mean, he realizes that his men just surrendered after the other faction of the army came and
just a matter of time,
and just a matter of time, obviously. And he's just kind of sitting there, just like mulling over like his choices, and just talking about getting tortured and asking Mandrake if he's been tortured before, and just asking him if he did talk, and then he's kind of just contemplating what he's done and realizing there's basically no way out at this point. And I don't know here if he's contemplating, all right, so do I just stick around and, see if I can get tortured and keep my mouth shut? And, because it's all about the greater purpose of getting Russia destroyed, or am I just done? Is it all over? But yeah, like I mean, it's a dark scene, but at the same time, you got Mandrake talking. Yeah, you got he is contemplating about getting tortured and all that. He gets up, goes to the bathroom.
Right, he just calmly walks in.
Yep, and Mandrake's like, yeah, go
a little water on your neck.
Yeah, go freshen yourself up. Yeah, why don't you go do that? So yeah, I mean, obviously we had in between all this, we had great scenes between Mandrake and Ripper this whole time.
A lot of weird stuff.
A lot of weird stuff. But yeah, Ripper just goes calmly into the bathroom, shuts the door,
blows his head off.
Bam, blows his head off. And it's just like, wow.
It was a powerful scene,
Yeah,
the way it was done. It was very sort of quiet and eerie and a little bit drawn out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should say this for my questions, but I mean, did he set off this nuclear strike to begin with because he's done? He doesn't want to do it. He was going to kill himself no matter what. So he's like, why not go out like this? Or was he...
I think he only became suicidal when he realized what it would have meant to have been captured.
Okay.
I think he had planned on, in his mind, he was nuts. So I assume if someone's nuts, then they think of themselves as a hero in their own mind.
Yeah, that's
true. So if he would have eliminated the Russians, then he would have been able to preserve our bodily fluids.
Yeah, preserve our bodily fluids. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have for that part. I just thought it was a real powerful scene. Stood out to me. And then I like how Mandrake, gets out and he's, the officer comes and, Mandrake's trying to explain to him, hey, we got to get these codes out. And he's trying to call the president from a payphone, and he doesn't have enough change. And he has the guy shoot the Coca-Cola machine to get the change out. And the guy's like, well, you're going to have to answer the Coca-Cola company.
And he shoots and then the soda splashes in his face.
Yes.
It was a bit slapstick.
Yeah, a little slapstick. All right, so what do we have at number 5?
So number 5 is my favorite George C. Scott performance. Here's when they've realized that there's the one plane left, and it's got an actual... They've recalled all of them except for this last one.
Right.
Or shot down other ones. And this one is still going. And the question is, can this thing actually make it?
Right.
Can it deliver? Even though like the Russian jets are scrambling, they've shot all their guns, and the president asked Turgison, can we actually pull this thing off? We don't want it to, but is it possible?
Right.
And this bit is like classic here. So Ben's gonna play it.
Sir, if the pilot's good, see, I mean, if he's really sharp, he can barrel that baby in so low. I mean, you ought to see it sometime. It's a sight. A big plane like a 52. Vroom! It's jet exhaust frying chickens in the barnyard.
Yeah, but has he got a chance?
Has he got a chance? Hell,
And he puts his hand over his mouth. And there's the plane going.
Yep.
And this is so powerful because it's an amazing performance by George C. Scott.
Well, first of all, a great physical comedy.
Yeah, he's got his... Yeah. He's doing airplane. It's like talking about a B-52 like flying under radar. And flying chickens in the barnyard. I love it. He's incredible.
Yeah.
But the gravity hits him, and he shows. I mean, he's so physical in this movie.
Right.
Right. He puts his hand over his mouth when he realized he's excited because he's an Air Force guy. He loves planes. He loves. This is what he's been living for, to attack and fulfill his mission. But this time, it's almost too good. Right.
Yeah.
The guys have, if they succeed, because we've trained them to do so, that means the end of all of us.
Right.
And he's like, oh my God.
They're too good at this point. Yeah. He realizes then, like, he's super excited to say just how great his Air Force is.
Yeah.
And just like, yeah, they're going to do great.
The pilot's real good.
Real good.
It's just, it's everything. He wears everything on his face and on his sleeve.
It's just,
and this is my favorite scene that he's in. This is so strong.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's got the comedy element to it, but then you have that realization in his face, like, wow, this is it.
He kind of loses it for
Yeah.
a second. He's like covering his mouth because he couldn't believe what he said and what this means for everyone. This is all too real now.
Yeah, this is how confident he is in his soldiers and his Air Force and in his country, just everything. And then he realizes just the cost of that.
Yeah.
It just, I love that it's mixed with comedy at the same time, but it's I love that scene as well. Peter Sellers is great, but George C. Scott,
He was amazing.
I think he should have got nominated for Best Supporting Actor or something for this, because I think this was totally out of his element, and just for him to portray what he was able to portray was just outstanding.
Physical, yeah. And then there's that one scene where they're in the war room and he trips and falls.
Yes.
That was an accident.
Yeah.
And they kept rolling.
Yeah.
And nobody reacted. It was, and he points up to
he
the-
stayed in character. He got up and he was like, the board? It was, oh my God.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I had to look that up because I was like, that looks so
That couldn't have been on
natural and
purpose,
real. Like, it's like, I had to look that up, and I was very satisfied to hear that was actually an accident.
Yeah.
And they just kept rolling.
It's true. This is Peter Sellers being amazing. But it's hard to, there could be no movie without Peter Sellers. But imagine this thing without George C. Scott.
Right.
Yeah, he's amazing in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
absolutely. Love this. All right, so what do we have for number 6?
Yeah, last one here. I have the final Doctor Strangelove.
Yep. It's a movie called Doctor Strange, and number 6 is finally we have a Doctor Strange moment.
We get Doctor Strangelove as he really is. So now the bomb has been dropped. And we know what happens, but they don't know that it has been dropped yet.
Nope.
So what they're doing is Strangelove rolls in on his wheelchair, and if you don't know, you need to just see this man. He looks ridiculous. He's got blonde hair, poof. He's got these little tinted glasses.
Yep.
And he's explaining this whole process where we're going to go live in mine shafts and reproduce with 10 women per man. And all the while he's fighting his right arm.
Yes.
Which we see in the beginning. It's gloved and basically has had a mind of its own.
Right.
In a way. It's he's putting it down. And then as he's explaining this whole process to save humanity, he's fighting with this arm. He's rolling around in his chair.
At one point, the arm comes up and punches him in the face and tries to choke him.
Gets control of it.
He tries to bite his hand.
Right, and I guess this symbolizes the Nazi still left in him because he was a jerk. He defected, and then he Sieg Heils, and he's like, "Mein Führer, I can walk."
And then just all the mushroom clouds, you see the end of the world basically right there.
But his whole dialogue here is
yeah.
just hilarious. And not only is it possible, it's advantageous. And he's got he's very scientific, and he's smiling. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
But he's a menace basically, but he's hilarious as he's played.
Yeah, I don't know if he's acting this way too because he's excited because is this finally the Germans are winning?
He's excited at the prospect of culling the population and doing this sort of eugenic thing where you have only the best and the strong, and we get rid of the weak, and then we emerge.
Right.
And that's what he can't hold it back. That part of him, it's this hand.
Right. Let's listen to some of it here.
This could maintain plant life.
That voice.
Yeah.
Animals could be bred and slaughtered.
Slaughtered. I love that. That basically
ridiculous.
Yeah. Mein Führer, I can walk. Because I guess that end. I guess Peter Sellers accidentally stood up there.
Oh, did he?
And he said that because I guess the end of the film was supposed to be a pie fight between the whole war room, which
ridiculous.
Yeah, quite ridiculous. But yeah, I mean,
I like this end.
Yeah, great end. Because I mean, how would you? Who is Dr. Strangelove to the president?
He's he was a Nazi scientist who then, based on his expertise and knowledge, became a part of the Security Council or something like that. Okay. So he's I guess he became a citizen. He's just basically like a advisor.
Yeah,
because he knows things.
And they briefly say what his old name was, and I guess in German, whatever that name is, does mean strange love.
Oh, does it?
A little fun fact for you. But yeah, just absolute
Hilarious.
brilliance of Peter Sellers, and I guess you can see some of the actors in the background kind of chuckling a little at some points.
Because the performance is absurd.
Yeah, it's just mixed with physical comedy and just that voice.
Yeah, and like you say, the long takes, he goes on. It's not like a Will Ferrell where it's like a funny look and then a comment.
Right.
He's like going and going and going for like 5 minutes. I don't know how anybody did not bust up laughing.
Yes.
But the weird thing is, in this movie, because we know the bomb has been dropped and we know the existence of the doomsday device that the Russians have developed, they're all doomed. There's no time for any of the stuff that they're talking about. And that's kind of weird. They're all dead men.
Right.
Fighting over, and then they're even talking, and then George C. Scott Turgeson says, we need to, close the mine shaft gap.
Yeah.
There's still petty fighting, and the Russian ambassador has got his little secret camera taking pictures. Dude, you're dead. This is done.
Yeah, it's over.
You're squabbling, and that's the thing, and that's like, I guess, like the analogy. We're all sort of squabbling over these stupid bragging rights when we could all end up just annihilating each other.
Right, absolutely. And then, speaking of that, this is all basically the end of the film, and we do our take 6. We, collaborate with each other and, see how we're going to order this, and we kind of go in order of the film. But, this is towards the end. We have I knew you wanted to speak a little bit about the guy riding the bomb.
Yeah, how can you not talk about this? This isn't one of my 3 favorites, but it's iconic. We've got Major Kong, who's piloting the plane. They're about to drop the bomb because they choose an alternative target, but it just won't release for whatever reason.
Right.
So he's down there with the wrenches or whatever, trying to get it loose, and while he's sitting on the bomb, and it gets loose, and he rides this thing down, and he's hooting and hollering and riding it like a bull. If that's not the embodiment of the insanity of the times and just embracing the craziness,
insanity of war and just the insanity
annihilation,
of
just loving it, right? Because you don't have a choice at this point.
Because they're out of gas at this point. They're going through, and they know, like, this is my last stop. Like, they know that this is happening, but yet they still go through with it. It's just like, you're fighting for your country and all that, but at what cost? It's
they know they're gonna die and they've got a mission.
Right.
You're just gonna do it and you're gonna love it and that's it. You're gonna embrace it wholly, which
then,
he does.
Yep. And then we got this.
Mein Führer! I can walk!
And I love this music in the background with the mushroom clouds, just all the nuclear bombs exploding. Then
the world ends.
Yep, the world basically is at an end, and all these guys are just bickering back and forth.
How great!
And this is what happens when you let idiots in charge of nuclear bombs,
which is humans.
Yep. Strangely correlates to what's happening today.
Yeah, because
there's an idiot in charge of bombs right now.
We're people. We're all idiots. Nobody's perfect, right? It's just like this whole thing in Colonel Ripper. He's talking about they should have never let civilians in charge. We're the military men. There is no fail-safe. I think that's the point of this movie.
Yeah.
Even though the people that are in charge wherever, you may not like them, but the people that you might like really aren't necessarily any smarter.
Right.
We're all fallible humans. We make mistakes. We do very stupid things for very stupid reasons.
Yep.
And we have the ability to kill everyone on Earth for those very stupid reasons. Just because someone threatens you, you can kill.
Yep.
Here's the thing with North Korea, right? They're threatening to use a territory as a target practice, and then we're So who knows? Thank God nothing's happened yet.
And it's a lot of that is pride.
Right.
A lot of that is pride
because we're
too
exactly
proud to.
We have to be who we are, and they're proud of themselves, and we have this technology, so we have to. We're supposedly the logic is that since we can all annihilate each other, then no one will actually do it.
Right.
And that's great so far, but we've came close a couple of times, and this movie shows that it can go wrong pretty quickly.
Yes, absolutely. Like that, because I think at the beginning they say the planes are 2 hours away.
Yeah,
and that's another thing I like about.
That's
another thing I like about this film. It's like in real time.
Yeah,
like basically the 2 hours it takes for them to get there is basically the 2 hours of the film. I know it's more of like an hour and a half, but I like how it
that's the planes are they're not rotating, but they're circling around the targets.
Right.
And we've come close a couple times. Like I said earlier, there's the Cuban thing. I think there was a case. I think in the 80s where in Russia they thought one of the commanders or generals thought that there was an order, there was a mistake, and he made the decision not to follow through.
Wow.
Imagine if he just followed the orders.
Yeah.
And went through. We could all be dead now.
Yeah.
Just because of a mistake. That was a mistake.
We would not be here talking to you fine folks.
Yeah, how could
right
we
now.
serve the public with these amazing podcasts?
Amazing. But yeah, I mean, that's what's great about film. And like you I think you even tweeted this out the other day. I mean, it gives you an escape from reality. Sometimes though, films will give you more reality than you really want.
Yeah.
It gives you...
You have to confront these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do like to keep politics out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's enough of that. I mean, it's just... movies are to enjoy. I mean, yes, you want to feel the emotion. You want to feel, what it's like to be in someone else's shoes for 2.5 hours and all that.
Right. But this is my little corner of the universe, and I don't want it interrupted by stupid, petty things that can change.
Yes.
So, we love movies, and we like to escape and talk about them. Of course, it relates to real life. But,
right.
These petty differences, in the end, they don't matter. A movie like this is timeless.
Yep. I agree. I'm so glad I finally got to see this. But obviously we're not done talking about it. Let's
this wraps up our Take 6.
Take 6. What? So our next segment might be poorly called. I don't know. We're still looking for suggestions.
I think it's good. Who's the idiot? Me or the movie?
Yep. Our next segment. Who's the idiot? Me or the movie? Some questions we might have about the film. Some gripes we may have about the film.
Yeah, I'd like to kick this off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the girlfriend, the one woman character in the movie.
Yep.
Is she a spy?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Now she's sleeping with General Turgison.
General Turgison, George C. Scott.
General Scott. Now, and there's also another, I don't know his rank, but the guy calling, she's referring to him by his first name. Is she sleeping with him? She's sleeping with Turgison. She's also calling into the war room. Is she a Russian spy? That's my question.
That's okay. Yeah, that I cannot answer for you, but that you have valid.
Is it possible?
You have a valid argument there, I guess you could say.
That's my allegation.
Yeah, because I mean, she's there. I mean, yeah. Because what is she doing with that guy? I mean, especially he's a high-ranking general.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows a lot of stuff. That's a good question. I don't know if it's in any interviews out there, any trivia, but yeah, I like that question. I mean, some of our questions we have might go unanswered on the show, obviously.
Yeah, our policy here is to look them up would be almost what's the point of asking?
Yeah,
so we
exactly.
Try to maybe solve them as we go.
Initiate a conversation a little, but yeah, I like that because I mean, it's obviously a gorgeous woman with this guy. I mean, George C. Scott, he's a fine looking man, but at the same time, I could.
I don't know what that means.
That's a good point to
my
bring
allegation is she's a Russian spy, but yeah, it is important to mention that. In a way I approach movies, and I think we share the same idea, is we try to do this on our own.
Right.
And I don't need, yes, I have of course I know I have the internet at my fingertips, but then it's pointless, right?
Right. It's like, what's the fun in that? Like, like what's...
You ask the question on your own. I mean, unless it's something really, you come across it or whatever, I don't like that stuff, and I don't like nitpicky stuff.
Yeah.
Any of that. So anyway.
I mean, I didn't. I took that as just 1964. Hey, we got to put a girl here,
Just a
half
girl
naked.
in a bikini.
That's how I took it. But yeah, to go that deep, I like that. I like that line of thinking. I didn't think that way, but yeah, I mean that's cool to think that way. I mean, it would be very interesting if that's what Kubrick had in mind.
Next thing I had, is there any significance to gum?
Yeah.
Now, Turgison is like a chronic gum chewer.
Right,
It's
yep.
like a chain chewer.
Yeah.
But then also Mandrake is holding the wrapper, the silver wrapper.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out what that might have meant.
I don't know. I just took that as like a device. I don't know if it was George C. Scott. Just like he's like, hey, I need to chew this gum. I think
Because
it
he's
would
a
be
smoker,
better.
maybe, and then instead
Yeah,
he's chewing the gum.
Yeah, that could be, or just a better way I could play the character, just more a little manically, where I could like show my manicness just by chewing a lot.
So
like chewing.
I'm reading too much into it, you think?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe you are.
Okay.
I'm trying to be nice here, but you could be. But yeah, I mean, they definitely seem to make a point of that because there was multiple times where he's
Lots of gum here.
taking out gum. It's like, okay, all right, that's very interesting. It made me want to chew gum. I kind of want a piece of gum now, but
Okay. Oh, well, that leads me into my last question, which is almost a question / observation. I feel like there were a lot of jokes going over my head, and some of them sexual, and I couldn't figure them out.
like which ones do you have any in mind?
There's the one with Mandrake, and then the guy, the Coke machine, was like, "Don't try any of your perversions."
Yeah,
I don't know. Was he supposed to? Was he like thinking he was gay or?
Well, that actually, I meant to look it up. I was like, is perversion like pervert?
I think you
and
just
perversion.
I think he was just mispronouncing
different.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're a prevert. I think I've heard that.
I mean,
before.
was that just the general way people thought of Englishmen back in the
You're like
60s?
a-
just
you're
like,
like a
oh, you must be a
effeminate
prevert.
little? Yeah, I don't know what prevert.
Was it like are you thinking like more like a gay term? Like a
I don't
gay-
know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
What could he possibly be doing in the phone
Man.
booth that would be offensive?
That's
and
true.
then there's the Ripper thing with I don't have sex with women because I don't want to give them my fluids. Didn't understand
The
that.
whole, I mean that. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't have an answer to your question, but you make valid questions.
But do you agree that you felt like there was some jokes going over your head?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't get
mean,
them.
Yeah,
But many of them.
I'm sure after many watches, maybe, or if we even Googled it. But what's the fun in that? We like to try to
Screw Google.
Yeah, we like to exercise our brains.
This is also 1964,
yeah,
so there could be things that maybe they're saying that just don't make sense to us
Right.
now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, maybe after a few watches, maybe we won't like it.
So that's the end of my questions. What do you got?
I mean, just do you know what was the significance of the Russian at the very end taking the pictures right before Dr. Strangelove said, "Mein Führer, I can walk."
Well, I think that just shows how stupid everybody is. They're so petty. He was there to get Walt. He was called in to help, but while he's there, his job is to get as much information on Americans as he can. So I think it's just supposed to show that as you're all about to get blown up, you're still worried about taking a picture of the big board.
Right.
So it's just your petty, sort of greedy, just small-mindedness.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I got it from that.
Yeah. And then another one had to do with something you were talking about. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean that's really all the questions I had. Yeah, because like I said, this is the first time I ever watched it, so I'm sure if I watch it again, I'll be able to pick apart my well, what did that mean? You know, I kind of.
All right. Well, so what did you have for critique?
Critique, like I said, I think I said at the beginning of the show, just the whole plane stuff. I think they could have condensed that a little more.
Kinda
Again,
boring, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it was an hour and a half long movie, so I mean, I can't. You know, they had to have some filler in there.
That's true, but they're really not exciting scenes. They're very dark and dingy.
I guess my favorite plane scenes were just when they were giving them the kits and then had all like the morphine and the tranquilizers and all that. That was kind of funny.
And the external shots of the airplane were obviously fake.
Oh
And
yeah,
I know
absolutely.
it's old, but you don't need to do it.
I know it was
hide it, right?
Yeah, it was way too much.
It's just like a model plane behind a green screen, which seemed, or in front of a green screen, was what it seemed like, right?
Yeah, and then I guess the critique kind of almost bleeds into my final thoughts. Was just
well,
not critiques. I was going to say what I liked about the plane scenes also was the beginning. They're just
just sitting eating donuts and just chilling. This is just their job. They're just circling around on these airplanes, and just goes to show you just how nonchalantly they can take these orders. And once they get these orders, that it's code red or whatever it was.
You never think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's
never going to happen. It's like, oh wow, okay,
do it. I guess.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Everything checks out.
Yeah.
You have a file. You got orders in a safe. You've got these codes, and if everything sort of matches up and does what it's supposed to, then you have to follow through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if it means destroying the entire planet, you have your orders.
Right. Yeah. Like, at one point, do you just say, no, I can't do it? I want to live.
Right. Well, that's a dilemma, because if you're wrong, then that means you're not going to pay back on people that are destroying your country, your family.
That's true.
That's the problem. That's the unsolvable human element there.
Right.
You don't know the truth.
Yeah.
So you hedge your bet. You figure, well, that was like Turgison in the beginning, right? Well, this thing's already gone. We might as well just kill them all now.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just.
And that way we'll only
full
suffer,
on attack.
Yeah. Well, this way we could just get pocket change casualties here. 10, 20 million.
10, 20 million tops.
No big deal.
Acceptable amount of casualties. What critiques did you have?
Well, same thing with the plane. Actually, anything more than the way the way he did it. I mean, all the shots in the war room are brilliant. They're clear. They're crisp. The angle's correct. In the planes, I don't know if he was actually shooting in like a flying plane. I don't know what he was doing there, but it would have been better in a set or designed in a different way. It didn't need the way he did it wasn't very good. It goes from like a crisp, clear, brilliant shot to just judder and nonsense and noise.
The only thing that looked real about it was when I liked how they established this was when at the beginning when the one plane was refueling the plane. It was like, oh, okay, so
you have real footage there,
but
then as the planes are supposedly flying through Russia, it looks stupid, and they keep showing it.
Again, it's 1964.
It is, I know,
so
I'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
The other thing I had was the war scene, I guess you want to call it, when they're taking over the base. That's just okay. And I guess maybe that's just the time as well.
Yeah, I agree there. I mean, the scenes that are captivating are just the dialogue scenes. I mean, the back and forth,
the psychological
Peter Sellers,
stuff,
the psychological stuff, the comedy. That's what stands out, and I think that's what makes this a memorable movie. So let's get.
I got one more thing. This is just a weird movie.
Yeah,
and this is a valid critique because it's strange.
Yeah,
it's not an approachable movie. Strangelove. This is not an approachable movie. It's never going to be a popular movie. It's really weird, and I think I said, there's really not a normal character in this entire movie.
No,
other than maybe the president.
Right.
But he's also, but that the president is being played by two other, it's the same actor playing two other characters. So even he's not normal because there's another form of him
right
elsewhere. So I don't know. This is just a weird movie. I guess Kubrick just kind of made this thing and he didn't normalize it for an audience at all.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't know if that's why
I like it, but this is at least a valid critique.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely strange. Yeah, it doesn't appeal to the general movie-going audience.
It seems like it only appeals to people like us,
yes,
and like our listeners. This kind of crowd that loves movies and wants to suck it in and learn more about them and watch them. To the general audience, this is not the movie for them.
Definitely. I mean, I think the one thing that saves it is it's an hour and a half. I think the general audience could give that a chance.
But I don't know that I could recommend this movie to like your average movie fan.
No, yeah, definitely not. I don't think they would get it. No. They wouldn't understand.
I think they would get in it for 10 minutes and be like, this is ridiculously stupid. Yeah.
I think our friend Michael Brennan might understand.
Michael Brennan, he's one of the few men that has that kind of appreciation for great film.
Definitely. So let's get into our final thoughts and our rating. Final thoughts. We basically talked about it.
We love
classic.
it. I'm ready to move on to my rating.
Just for final thoughts, I just like how it just shows like the fragile system that the whole country is. I mean, the whole world is, just how fragile it is because one human could go off the walls and could ruin anything for anyone. I think that's a deep topic, a deep theme of this film is just you got kids playing with fire here. I mean,
that's true. I mean, we think that there are smart men out there, real men,
right,
better than us,
right,
that are making these decisions and in charge of all these things. But the truth is that's not the case.
Yeah.
Probably
It's almost
not.
like what we think is right to do is almost just a social thing. It's like, oh, someone thinks that's right for me to do, so I'm going to pretend that I'm
right.
an upstanding citizen. I'm an upstanding person, and I'm smart,
It's
and I
been
can
determined
do these
that
things.
this is okay.
Yeah. So it's like people are just playing this game, especially politicians, and I think that's a big point that Ripper brings out, how wars aren't fought by politicians anymore.
No.
They're fought by generals, or he says something along those lines.
And then invalidates himself with his insanity.
Well, yeah,
right?
the bodily fluids and all
but
that.
It's true that, I mean, these guys actually fight and they know what it is to live in war. But
Right.
I think the point is there is no qualification to
No.
make these decisions, whether you're a military man or a mature,
Right.
measured, well-educated citizen. No group of people are capable of actually making these decisions.
Yeah.
And we sort of hope that everything just sort of stays together and
Yeah.
nobody dies.
Let's hope. Because, I mean, no matter how much training you have, I mean, emotions can still take over your training. And that's what we see here at Jack Ripper. I mean, look at the president we have today. It seems like emotions are running high for him. But again, not a
But
political show.
it's not just that, but it's also just, you have information, but then you have information that could be incorrect.
Yeah.
And you're acting on incorrect information,
Right.
and then you make a whole, battle plan based on that. So this is a massive topic, and then we're just people, and yet we have these weapons that can destroy the entire world.
Right.
This is not a good thing.
Yeah.
This is the point.
That's what,
We can blow each other up for very little because one person thinks, doesn't like fluoridation in the water.
yeah.
Which is actually a real thing. There are people out
I
there
know.
that don't think we should have fluoride. So
Yeah, that makes this a deep movie, but it is also hilarious. It's absolutely
you will
funny.
laugh out loud. many
Genius
times.
performances by Peter Sellers, George C. Scott, and I'm so glad I was able to finally visit this film.
So happy that you were.
So what do you have for our new rating system?
With our rating system of popcorn and stars, I'm going to give this one 2 popcorns because I think this could be challenging for a general audience, and I'm going to give it 3.5 stars.
I'm going to make this real boring for you folks because that's exactly what I have.
God, this guy looked at my paper.
No,
I think I could just need to leave now.
No, honestly, I mean, 3.5. I mean, I'm not going to give it quite 4 stars.
Well, obviously, I agree, but
yeah. Oh my god, this guy right here. But yeah, I mean, again, I can't give it more than 2 buckets of popcorn, but at the
No.
same time, it's so entertaining that I kind of give it less.
Well, I'll give a
3.
tip. If you happen to get this this movie, and if you just want to see the best, you could actually view this movie by fast forwarding to. I wouldn't recommend it on the first viewing necessarily, but if you need to, you fast forward to the plane scenes and watch this movie in about 45
Actually,
minutes.
a lot of the great clips are on YouTube. Like, you just Google YouTube's Dr. Strangelove, and just the best clips are on there.
Well, there you go.
So watch it once, and then just watch the best clips all you want. Yeah.
did it.
So again, we're on YouTube now. So
We are YouTube guys.
hey, ooh. So yeah, be sure to check us out on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at BlockbusterCast. Follow our personal accounts. I am at BCCord.
And I am at Dave_Quist.
Yep, and give us any suggestions you have for the show, any movies you want us to dissect and dig deep into like this film, and we'd be happy to appease you.
Very
folks.
happy to do it. I
Yep.
would love to do any movie you guys want to do.
Any movie, even movies we've never seen, just like
Good
me
movies,
today.
bad movies, stupid
But,
movies, incredible movies. We want to do it. We want to make you guys happy.
Absolutely. All right, Dave. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, it has.
All right. That is our show today, folks. Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, subscribe to us on YouTube, and what your favorite podcast app. But that's it for Davo. I'm Ben Secord. We'll catch you guys at the movies.